Yesterday, Democrat Charles Booker, who is running for the U.S. Senate against Rand Paul, released a new campaign video in which he was wearing a noose around his neck while criticizing his Republican rival. So what I'm going to do right now is play that video for you, and then we're going to get right back into the discussion.
The pain of our past persists to this day. In Kentucky, like many states throughout the South, lynching was a tool of terror. It was used to kill hopes for freedom. It was used to kill my ancestors. Now, in a historic victory for our Commonwealth, I have become the first Black Kentuckian to receive the Democratic nomination for U.S. Senate. My opponent, the very person who compared expanded health care to slavery. The person who said he would have opposed the Civil Rights Act. The person who single-handedly blocked an anti-lynching act from being federal law. The choice couldn't be clearer. Do we move forward together, or do we let politicians like Rand Paul forever hold us back and drive us apart? In November, we will choose healing. We will choose Kentucky.
Now here's my question to Black America, because obviously this was geared towards us. What is Charles Booker talking about in this ad? Did he say all that he said and end it with, and this is why we need an anti-Black hate crime bill to deal with the legacy of anti-Black racist violence, like what we just witnessed in Buffalo, New York? Is that what he said? Because if he did, I must have missed it. Did he end this video by saying, and this is why I'm demanding reparations for the descendants of American slavery in the form of cash payments first and foremost, alongside other reparative means of restitution? Is that what he said? Because if he did, once again, I must have missed it. Now, obviously, these are rhetorical questions because he clearly didn't say any of that. And that's the problem. I've said this a million times on this channel, and I'm going to say it again. Black Americans have been blindly voting Democrats to the tune of close to 90% on average since 1964. And now here we are in 2022 with nothing to show for it but a median wealth that's going to fall to zero by 2053 while becoming fourth on the U.S. population list by 2064. In 4 short decades, Black America will be an economically deceased, politically irrelevant class of people in the country that they built. And neither party is attempting to stop that from happening, not the Republicans or the Democrats. The only difference between the two being that the Democrats pretend to be the friends of Black America, only to leave them hanging once they get into office, as you sit back and watch the AAPI community get an anti-Asian hate crime bill passed, while the Native American community received $31 billion from the Biden administration, followed up by an additional $50 billion for the fiscal year of 2023. Yet when you ask them for an anti-Black hate crime bill after the Buffalo shooting, they're talking to you instead about gun control and domestic terrorism. And reparations? Well, Biden already told the Congressional Black Caucus, forget about it. You see, if we're going to play this game of politics and voting, then it needs to be played correctly. And the first step to playing it correctly is to stop rewarding politicians, in this case the Democrats, with seats in office if they haven't agreed to meet your demands concerning what the Black community needs by way of legislation that is exclusively for Black Americans, the same way they create legislation that is exclusively for the Native Americans, the LGBTQ community, immigrants, and so on. This campaign ad by Booker was wildly disrespectful to the history of Black Americans and everything that they've been through. It's disrespectful because he doesn't mean it. This was a performative art piece designed to trigger Black Americans to vote Democrat out of fear that if they don't win, then the Republicans are going to put us all back in chains. But who needs chains when you've got poverty courtesy of the Democratic Party? Like I said in one of my last videos, if the Democrats were who they said they were, then why is there a racial wealth gap in cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York? The local governments in these cities are overwhelmingly Democrat from top to bottom, yet the Black community in each of those cities are completely upside down. You can't blame it on the Republicans. So how do you explain that? In Los Angeles, Black Americans make up 8% of the population, but make up 34% of the homeless. I thought this was the most liberal city in America. So how is that possible? You see, these politicians bank on Black Americans being emotional, reactionary, easily triggered, and here's the most damning one, easily entertained. Now here's a quick example of how we're easily entertained. How many of you all remember the performative art piece released by Gary Chambers Jr.? When I logged onto Twitter the day that he released that ad, I was shocked at how many of us were completely blown away and doing backflips over this ad just because he was smoking weed in it. Really? He was smoking weed while citing off statistics that we've been hearing about for over the last decade. There are brothers outside of my house right now who are smoking weed that can spit more knowledge than him, literally as we speak. I can take this microphone, go out there, and they would start dropping knowledge on you while being high. Yet for whatever the reason being, this Gary Chambers ad is so amazing and profound. And just like Charles Booker, what did Gary Chambers say he was going to do for Black Americans? Nothing. But let him get into office and watch him go hard in the paint for every other group except for Black Americans. That's the Democratic Party thing to do, isn't it? It's what they always do. And if we're foolish enough to fall for these performative art pieces, then hey man, I don't know what to tell you. I just pray that we can wake up to the foolishness before the final nail in our community's coffin has been hammered down. And believe me, that final nail is about halfway down already. Man, I'm trying to tell you, you better.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, wake up out of your sleep.
And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you'll be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. Please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a direct text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as a protection plan for myself in case YouTube ever gives this channel the axe. I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those who have issues with joining Patreon, you could also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you have not already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.